Imagine yourself making a move to another state across the country. You're doing months and months of research. Every single day, you're poring over dozens and dozens of listings on Zillow. And then eventually you do make the move. You find what you think is your perfect home. And then only months after you move in, you've closed on the home, you find out you get hit with a monstrous property tax bill that you weren't planning on. You find out that your kid's school district doesn't provide yellow school bus transportation. These are just a few of the examples that could happen if you're not working with a relocation expert. So stay tuned to this video so you can learn more about what to avoid when moving to the Pittsburgh area from out of state. Hi, my name is Mark McClinchie, and I'm a real estate agent here in the Pittsburgh area. I serve the entirety of Allegheny County and all of its surrounding communities. I started my YouTube channel as a service to give people information about moving to an area they're unfamiliar with. Okay, so let's dive into our first topic that might completely blindside people if you have children. If you are a family out there, you're planning a move to the Pittsburgh area, the school district might be one of your primary considerations in making your move. There are two really important topics that are so rarely discussed. The first one is transportation. You're thinking that every school district provides transportation, but that is not true. We have a handful of school districts in the Pittsburgh area like Steel Valley and Duquesne, Wilkinsburg, and Mount Lebanon, one of the most popular school districts in the Pittsburgh region. None of these districts provide school district transportation to and from school. So for working families, this can be a real challenge when you're not able to put your kid on a bus that is right outside your front door or in your neighborhood. And so getting your kids to walk to school, can be a challenge for working families. Fortunately, most of those school districts do have a pretty robust before and after school care program. A lot of neighborhoods, I live in Mount Lebanon, and our kids, when they were elementary school age, all teamed up with neighbors and they all walked in groups, and usually a parent, when they were younger, would walk with them. There are crossing guards at almost all of the intersections. So it's actually a great convenience that our kids can walk to school. So just be aware that not every school district has transportation. And this next one is definitely one that comes as a real surprise to a lot of people moving from out of state. Full day kindergarten has been the standard for many decades across the country. The research is quite clear that full day kindergarten students outperform half day kindergarten students by a wide margin. However, there are still a number of school districts within the Pittsburgh region that only offer a half-day kindergarten program. Most school districts do have a full-day kindergarten, and especially in the last couple years, a lot of districts have gotten on board and they have offered the option to have a full-day kindergarten in their school district. Not only is a full-day kindergarten program the best educationally, and the research states how important it is for students to have full-day kindergarten, it also can become a terrible inconvenience for working families when your child is only going to school for a couple hours a day. Fortunately, many of those programs that only offer half-day programs they partner with community organizations that offer additional care to make it a full-day program. Some of the school districts that only have a half-day kindergarten program include Upper St. Clair, Mount Lebanon, Hampton, North Allegheny, and Pine Richland. And again, these are some of the highest ranked school districts in the region, and they're currently offering only a half-day program. And lastly, before I became a real estate agent, I worked in K-12 public schools for nearly 20 years. I spent most of that time as an elementary school principal. And as I got into real estate, I realized how many people were focused on the real estate listings that included the rating of the school, typically from great schools or maybe niche and other places that have just a single letter grade or a single score. And I realized just how horrible that system was. So I made a video, please check it out, how these rating systems really are doing a disservice to parents and families and schools. It is not, in my opinion, an accurate reflection of the quality of that school. It measures something entirely. And most importantly, I offer alternatives of how parents can do research on school districts to better find out if it's going to be the best fit for their kids. And our next topic might impact you at that exact moment you back out of your driveway. When I first meet with a client, one of the first tasks I ask people to do is just send me a couple of homes that you have recently found online that you find attractive. And I would say 70, 80% of the time, almost every one of my new clients sends me a property that is located on a very busy main road. And the reason people find those homes attractive is you get more for your money. People that are moving from out of state especially are not aware of which roads are the main roads. A lot of local clients, when they see properties listed on Washington Road or Cedar Boulevard or Bower Hill Road, those are all in Mount Lebanon, they immediately dismiss them because they know those roads are main roads. Every single community has main roads and they all have homes on those main roads. And those homes tend to be, really nice, and they're priced extremely fairly. They have low prices, but getting in and out of that home could be a challenge. A lot of those homes do sit. You've got resale value challenges. Now, the only thing I will say about main road and busy road homes is that if you can find a home that perhaps has a side street or maybe a back alley, maybe you're not pulling in or out directly on the main road, or maybe there's a turnaround in the driveway where you can come out front ways rather than backwards. That might be the right fit and you're gonna get a great deal potentially. So I wouldn't immediately discount a main road home. It might be the right situation for you, but it definitely begs for a little more research to find the right fit and the right home. But be aware that Pittsburgh, like any region, does have a lot of busy road and main road homes that may or may not be the right fit for you. So if you're thinking you need a real estate expert that focuses on relocations and you want to get in touch with me, please book a consultation. There's a QR code on your screen as well as a link in the description below. That is going to take you to a form where you're going to tell me all the details about what you're looking for, what your needs are, what your budget is, and most importantly, you're going to be able to book a free, no obligation consultation with me. We'll set up that call. We'll talk at great length, figure out what your needs are. We'll talk about what places and communities might be the right fit for you. We'll develop a plan to start working together so that you can make a stress-free and seamless transition to the Pittsburgh region. So the next topic where I want to caution you on choosing a house that might be located in an area that is pretty hilly and that might pose dangerous conditions when it comes to winter weather. So this could be in any community. Any community. Pittsburgh is an incredibly hilly landscape. And then with those hills and winter weather, makes it difficult. There's a lot of slip sliding. Certainly driving up and down your driveway could be a challenge. I want to caution you on figuring out a neighborhood that has really good snow clearance. Not every municipality is out there before the snow even hits the roads and in clearing that snow. So that's a big challenge. So make sure, even though you might be shopping for a house in the spring or summer, make sure you're doing your research on what is the snow clearance like. So if you're choosing a community where there are main roads like Rialto Street, you're gonna have to come with a different commute. It's not gonna drastically change how you get up and down from your neighborhood, but it's just something to be aware of that I think outsiders that are moving to the Pittsburgh region might not be aware of until you already move in, and then you're learning this after the fact. Now we'll transition and talk about congestion and overcrowding neighborhoods that you might not be aware of. So traffic and congestion is just a reality of living anywhere in an American city, and Pittsburgh is no exception. There are known areas that have congestion issues. A lot of people like to point out that the South Hills has a lot of congestion, but I do not find that to be true, but to each their own. Navigating the South Hills, where I live in Mount Lebanon, I think is quite easy, but I know there are some people that are not familiar, and there are a number of areas within the South Hills and within Allegheny County that are just kind of known issues. So there's no extra congestion coming to places in Allegheny County. Those are sort of known quantities. So McKnight Road in the North Hills, that has congestion and that's always going to be there. Monroeville out in the eastern suburbs, that's sort of known. Like, you're not having any new growth in those areas. Allegheny County is kind of built out. There really isn't a ton of new construction left in Allegheny County. What I'm concerned about here that I think outsiders might not be aware of is you're thinking of some of those outlying communities that currently might not be super congested, but the more people move out there, the more they build out, and the infrastructure might not be enough to hold massive, massive growth. But that's something to keep in mind, that you think you're moving to an outlying suburb and it'll be really easy, leafy, and be able to move around and do your daily errands. But the congestion is something that might surprise you. And of course, these issues are not necessarily unique to the outlying communities or suburban communities. I can think of the city of Pittsburgh, and the neighborhood of Lawrenceville is starting to get really, really saturated and packed. It's a super popular neighborhood, but you're also starting to see a lot of high density housing go into Lawrenceville that wasn't there before. And so these are primarily rentals that people have. And so young people love to live in a vibrant area like Lawrenceville, but it is bringing tons and tons of more foot traffic and car traffic. And it is going to make the area very, very congested. And I know a lot of people living in that area are very concerned. So that's just something to be aware of. It might be the perfect fit for you, and I would not encourage you not to move to Lawrenceville, but as long as you're aware that congestion can be an issue, and there are more and more people moving to Lawrenceville, and that area is going to grow in population, and that could impact people's daily lives. And let's move to our final issue that could be a big, big surprise on your wallet: property taxes. So I've made a number of videos recently where I criticize the property tax system in Pennsylvania, and particularly how it impacts residents in the Pittsburgh region. Typically, I'm talking about how we have an assessment issue where we don't do countywide assessments on a regular basis. In Allegheny County, the last time was in 2012, but that's not what I'm talking about today. Today, I want to talk about tax rates. And so there are places within the Pittsburgh region that have different tax rates, obviously. So we have, in Allegheny County alone, we have 43 school districts. So that's 43 different tax rates. And we have 130 municipalities. And that, of course, is 130 different tax rates for each of those municipalities. And then Allegheny County has a tax rate, and that has gone up recently. A lot of people are whining and crying about the 50% increase. But I do want to point out a few areas that are really popular with a lot of my clients. A lot of these are small towns that don't have a large tax base. They don't have a vibrant business corridor that is really supplying the tax dollars for that community. So I think of areas like Brentwood, Wilkinsburg, Avalon, and Bellevue. These are all smaller communities that are forced to have really high tax rates so that both the school district and the local municipality can provide services for their residents. These are places that have tax rates close to 5%, which is 50 mils. So if you're considering a move to one of these municipalities that has really high tax rates, you're going to want to do your budget very carefully to know that, hey, maybe the purchase price of the home and your principal and interest payment is reasonable and it's right where you want it to be. But then your escrow account, where you're putting in monthly payments toward your property taxes, that might be super sky high. And again, it might not be accurate at first because they're going just on the current taxes, and those taxes could change later when they change your assessed value. One of the resources I provide to my clients that they absolutely love is I have a property tax calculator. If you'd like to get your hands on that, reach out to me. I'd be glad to share it with you. But you basically plug in the purchase price of any home, and it'll show you what the taxes would be if they were accurate for any municipality in the Pittsburgh region. So, and of course, those small municipalities are not the only ones with really high tax rates. There's a number of suburban communities, particularly in the South Hills where I live, Bethel Park, in Upper St. Clair, in Mount Lebanon. All of the areas within southern Allegheny County have really high property taxes. They're not quite as, they're not in the 50 mil range, but they're in the high 30s or low 40s, which is much higher than northern Allegheny County. So at the end of the day, you need to find an expert real estate agent that can anticipate every need. You want to find someone that has so much experience with out-of-state buyers. Every issue you might have, they've already seen it. Moving from out-of-state is a unique circumstance. You want to find someone that has exclusive experience and expertise with out-of-state home buyers, because your needs are super unique. You're going to need to learn the lay of the land and get up to speed very quickly in a short amount of time so that you can buy with confidence. And that's one thing that I absolutely love about my clients. My clients are research oriented, which is how they found me on these videos on my YouTube channel. And so once we start partnering together, I give them additional resources. I point out additional things so that when they are starting their buying window, we've done all that prep work. They now are buying with confidence. We've identified the neighborhoods that are the perfect fit for them. We've identified the school districts that are the right fit for their kids. And so if you want to join those types of people, I encourage you to go down to the link in the description or the QR code on your screen and download my free relocation guide. This takes a deep dive into a number of the communities in the Pittsburgh region that are most popular with the families I work with. I also just talk about generally what it's like living in the Pittsburgh region, talk about the amenities and the parks and the sports and all the things available to what it's like living in the Pittsburgh region. So download that relocation guide. I hope you have found this video helpful. Thanks for watching and welcome to Pittsburgh.